Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel Cakes by MK. So as you may have already noticed, we have reached 100,000 subscribers on Cakes by MK, which calls for a bit of a celebration. So in today's video, I'm going to be making this epic 100 layer rainbow sprinkle crepe cake. And stay till the end to see a special someone I brought along to come and cut this cake with me. Thank you guys so much for your support, for your comments, likes, shares, messages, any way that you've supported Cakes by MK. I really truly appreciate it. And it totally would not be possible without your guys' support. So thank you so much from me. Apart from that, stay tuned and I hope you guys enjoy this video. So the first thing I do is make my crepes. I'm using a really easy recipe by Natasha's Kitchen and I'll post a link to that below. So for my ingredients, I've got some flour, sugar, melted butter, salt, milk, water, and some eggs. Now I'm starting off by placing my wet ingredients into my blender first, followed by my dry ingredients. I ended up making 10 times this recipe in total. It was a crazy amount of batter, but I did it in double batches, which made it a bit more manageable. So a double batch gives you 20 crepes, so I did 5 colors in total, so I had 100 crepes. Now I'm just adding in some gel food color. I'm starting off with red and then I'm blending that all together. I stopped halfway to scrape the sides of my blender and I also added in a little bit more gel color because I wanted the color to be a little bit brighter. Then I just blended it up again until it was well combined. Now once that was done, I was ready to make my first batch of crepes. So to make my crepes, I'm pouring my batter into a 1/4 cup measuring cup and then I pour that into a pan which is on a medium heat and quickly move the pan around so that my crepe batter is covering the entire pan. And then once that's done, you want to let it sit for about 30 seconds and then flip it over. Now to flip it, you want to first gently release the sides of the crepe from your pan. Don't be too rough like me, otherwise you might tear your crepe like I did. Then just slide your spatula under the crepe and flip it over. You should have some nice browning on the top of your crepe. Then after about another 30 seconds, your crepe is done and it should have that same browning on the bottom. And now I'm just going to repeat the process with the rest of my crepes. So this here is what a stack of 20 crepes look like, and now I'm making 20 more of 4 other colors, starting with purple, followed by yellow, green, and blue. And then just like that, well, maybe not just like that, about a couple of hours later and a broken back, I've got 100 crepes ready to stack. So to stack my cake, I've got a 14-inch cake board here, and then to fill my crepes, I'm using my mascarpone whipped cream recipe, which is amazing. It's one of my favorite frostings, and I chose this one because it's smooth enough to apply a thin layer on each crepe, but then it's also got some stability to it too, so my crepes don't slide around as I'm stacking them. Then I've got my sidekick here, my offset spatula, which I'm using to frost my cake. So I'm starting off by placing a thin layer of cream onto my cake board and putting my first crepe on top of that so that it sticks to my cake board. Then I'm using my offset spatula to add a thin layer of cream onto my crepe, and then I put my next layer on top of that. And then you basically just want to repeat the process until all 100 layers are stacked. I decided to do a dark to kind of light color scheme, so my blue went on the bottom, followed by my green, purple, red, then yellow crepes. And then you're left with 100 layers of crepe cake. I absolutely love the rainbow effect on this cake. Now the next thing I'm doing is crumb coating this cake, starting off by applying a thin layer of cream on the top of my cake and then covering up the sides with cream. Now, as I was frosting this cake, I realized that I didn't really need a crumb coat because there weren't any crumbs and the frosting was smoothing out really nicely. So I decided to go ahead and put a thick layer of frosting on without having to wait for the crumb coat to firm up. Then I went ahead and used my cake scraper to smooth out the sides. Now I'm just filling in any gaps with more cream before I smooth out my cake again and clean the top. Now once I was done, I felt like the cake didn't have enough frosting around the top edges, so I just went ahead and added a bit more at the top and cleaned up my cake again one more time. And then once I was happy with how my cake was covered, I put it into the fridge overnight for everything to firm up, and then it was time to cover this entire cake with sprinkles. So I've got a whole bunch of hundreds and thousands here to kind of go with the 100k theme, and then I've got some tea towels placed under my cake to catch any of the sprinkles that fall away. I didn't have a tray big enough to put my cake in that could catch my sprinkles. So to cover my cake, I'm just grabbing a palmful of sprinkles and then very gently gliding my hand up the cake as I pour the sprinkles onto the cake. You don't want to apply too much pressure, otherwise you'll dent your cream and push the sprinkles too far in. Now for the top, I'm just placing a little mountain of sprinkles in the middle, then using my hands to gently spread them all out. And then once that's done, I'm just cleaning the bottom of my cake with the help of my little offset spatula. And now I'm going to finish off this cake with a bit of piping on the top. So I've just got my cream in a piping bag with a 1M star tip nozzle on it, and I'm just doing some simple swirls on the top of my cake. And then I'm putting some more sprinkles on top because why not? Now, after I was done, I felt like I didn't have enough swirls on the top. So I kind of moved some of them around and added more to fill the cake up a bit. And then a few more sprinkles on top, then this epic cake was all done and ready to cut. Now, I got my husband to come along and cut the cake with me because he's been my biggest supporter when it comes to Cakes by MK, so I really wanted him to do this with me. The cake was so big, so it took a little bit of adjusting to figure out the best way to cut it, but we got there in the end. It truly was a team effort when it came to managing that huge slice. We were both in awe when we cut through this cake because the layers just looked absolutely incredible. I honestly didn't expect it to cut so well. Now my husband couldn't keep a straight face, so we had a little giggle, then shared a piece later on. I absolutely love how this cake turned out. The only thing I would say is that I would add a little more cream in between the layers next time. I absolutely love cream, so I added extra on top of my slice. So that is it, guys. That is how I created this epic 100-layer rainbow crepe cake to celebrate 100k for Cakes by MK. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up below if you did. Apart from that, thank you so much for watching Cakes by MK, and I'll see you in the next video.